Hey, what's up, all you sports bettors? It's Matt Modi here, content producer, betting analyst for OddsJam. I welcome my good friend and also content producer part-time for OddsJam, Puneet Chopra. Puneet, how we doing?
How's it going? Glad to be here. Glad to be back. It's been a while since you and I recorded something, so this is fun.
Yeah, it has been a while. Little fun fact about Puneet. He does a lot of writing for OddsJam, did some videos back in the past, but um, funny little background. So Puneet and I are friends like outside of this world. We're just friends. And during like the bubble, when there was nothing going on, when sports finally returned, we were like, screw it, let's just do a little sports betting podcast. So that's kind of like our introduction into this world. We actually made a decent amount of money doing that too before we even knew what positive EV and arbitrage was.
Yeah, it was fun. We just love sports. We figured let's talk about it. Let's record a few episodes, and ended up playing pretty well and doing pretty well. So that was fun. And here we are. What, about 2 years later? And
Yeah, just under 2 years later,
yeah, and
back at
we're
it.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're back, and I'm excited. It's like I said, it's been a while, so I'm ready to jump back into this.
Yeah, awesome. Well, for the people that might have not have seen any of your videos, I guess that was a little bit like during football season when you were doing a
Mhm.
ton. So I just want to give a
Mhm.
little bit of a background about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm currently, as Matt said, part timing with OddsJam. Awesome tool. I've been using it now pretty exclusively for almost a year and a half, 2 years at this point, I think. And I yeah, we did some NFL reviews. I'm currently full time Deloitte consultant, so don't have all the time in the world to devote to OddsJam, but the free time I do have, I'm definitely using the tool. The positive EV tool, the arbitrage tool, free bet converter, all of the above. Just trying to see where I can get some money and you know get a profit. It's kind of a nice form of investing that isn't your traditional sit at a stock market and see if it goes up or down. So
Yeah, it's like a nice little side gig. You got your
yeah,
full time
absolutely.
job, you got your side gig as a part time with OddsJam, and then you have your side gig making money betting on sports.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
winner chicken dinner if you ask me.
yeah, it's a lot of side gigs. Cool. Well, yeah. So for this specific video, we're just going to talk about Game 1 between the Celtics and the Heat, and I guess talk about the series in general. Maybe give some series predictions. So let me share my screen, and I can go over while we're so the viewer at home can look at kind of what we're talking about and stuff. But yeah, so for Game 1, not surprising, Heat being the home team are slight favorites here. I see them the odds jam line. The perfect line has them at minus 118. Has the Celtics at plus 107. So just starting off, do you think there's any sort of like rest advantage for the Heat since they had the game break winning in 6 against the Sixers with the Celtics having just a grueling 7-game series, only having one full day of rest in between? Do you put any like emphasis in that into your thoughts for Game 1?
A little bit, but I think it would have been more so had it not been, such a pretty
Blowout.
much a wire to wire victory for the Celtics. Um, the in Game 7, typically when you think of Game 7s, you think of last second, like
Kawhi shot.
it's gonna come down. Sorry to you said it, not me, but it's gonna come down to the last shot. It's gonna come down to the final minutes. Both Game 7s, unfortunately, that was not the case.
Oh my
Um,
god.
so I don't think in this situation there is that wild card factor of rest versus non. I mean, obviously, Miami, they do have a couple older players on their team. Is Kyle Lowry playing yet? I don't know if that's been determined.
I don't think
Um,
it has been.
yeah,
We
and
can
I
check
believe
the
he's still questionable.
Yeah, we
But
can check the injuries page on OddsJam and see. To my knowledge, he is still listed as question. Yeah, day to day. He's still listed as
yeah,
day to day.
so for them, yeah, every day counts. But when you look at the Celtics team, they're a pretty young team, and like I said, I don't think them having to play a Game 7 classified it as something that would be grueling. So I really don't think that's going to be something to make to play a part really at all in the decision of this game. Personally, the Heat are favored ever so slightly. I think I'm just going to go with the Heat. I think I need to just to for Game 1. I think I'm going to fill it out. I think as an average bettor would look at this game, their last impression of these two teams is Boston just wiping the floor essentially with the Bucks. So I feel like the public is going to be all over the Celtics because right now they're the popular team from that standpoint. And we all know from our betting experiences that when the public is on one team, there's typically you typically want to stay away from it. So that's my personal opinion. We'll see what happens, how this line moves, and kind of what happens going up to game time tomorrow night. But that's my initial reaction, initial thoughts to this game.
Yeah, I disagree a little bit in terms of like the Celtics not being tired, because they were down like 3-2, so they did have to play like 2 perfect games in order to win. Now, obviously, games, I mean, both of them ended up being blowouts, but they still had to put like maximum effort into those 2 games. Where the Heat, I mean, those last 2 games against the Sixers, they might as well have not even shown up. You know, like those are total blowouts. Like didn't have to try at all. So I think for game 1, it probably might have a little bit of an impact. And the Heat are the home team, and game 1s are always a little bit like, I don't know. I think game 1s aren't necessarily conducive to like the rest of the series, how things are going to go. So getting the Heat, there's no plus EV play on it because, like, as we can see, the best odds are the OddsJam line. But if I had to make a guess, I think I'd probably take Heat money line -120 on FanDuel or PointsBet just to put a prediction out there.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. To get the prediction out, it has to be the home team, just because for game 1s, until you kind of see them play against each other, you really need to get a feel for it. I'm curious though what your thoughts are on the over under. So I think it's at 204 is what the
total
is looking at.
I lean under, just knowing these 2 teams. Yeah, you're right. Looks like the OddsJam perfect line prices the total at about 203.5. Mm-hmm. Most books have it at 204 or 204.5. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing a little bit of value getting it on WinBet under 204 at -108. I'm probably leaning the under here. I mean, I think if there was any game that would go over, it probably would be game 1, just because I feel like the defenses aren't going to be as tight in game 1 as they would be the normal series. But just knowing these 2 teams, like how offensively challenged they can become, how good they are defensively, 204 is such a low number, but I probably lean that going under.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a little bit of a, East Coast or Eastern Conference of back in the day, where
a lot of these gross games, 90s basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Where it is, high 90s, if that, in the scoring. So breaking 100 was so uncommon back in the day. But I felt like watching these playoffs, it is that kind of like grind it out. These teams are not that great type of offensive teams, and we did see it. Miami completely shut down Philly for the most part, albeit without Embiid, or a hobbled Embiid or a disinterested Embiid. But and then you saw again in the other series with the Celtics and the Bucks, 2 of the best defensive teams in the league, and a lot of those games in that series went under too. So
5 of 7, I'm pretty sure, went under.
Yeah. So I mean, makes sense to keep playing that, because again, I think Miami they predicate themselves on defense, and then the Celtics, they have one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, just looking at the playoffs, the Heat and the Celtics have the 2nd and 3rd best defensive net rating in the entire playoffs. If you just look at the regular season, the Heat had the 4th and the Celtics had the 1st. So good defenses. Defense has always translated really across any sport into the playoffs. So as you were talking, you talked me into taking the under. I'm going to put my lock of the day on the under on this game, -108 on WinBet. That'll be our official betting Bears pick of the day for those of you real ones. So lock that in on WinBet. So that'll be our official play. And now let me just add that to my bet tracker, completely free, that OddsJam uses. So we got our official prediction, Heat money line under 204. Now I think we could look at the positive EV plays. Looks like there's 3 on here for this game, and maybe talk through each one in a little bit. We can speak to the math of it, but just what you think from a basketball perspective. Tatum under 5.5 assists, Jimmy buckets under 36.5 PRA, and Horford over 8.5 rebounds.
I mean, if you want to correlate this to exactly what we were just talking about the under, most likely going to mean pretty low number of team assists. There's your Jason Tatum under. Probably going to mean a pretty low, just offensive performance from Jimmy Buckets. There's your under. A lot of missed shots, meaning more opportunities for rebounds. That's probably going to be Al Horford over. I mean, that's an extremely surface level way to look at it.
Yeah.
We can look at it from a trend perspective and seeing how many times Tatum has gone under 5.5 in the last series, for example, and how he did in the regular season against Miami, for example, things like that. But again, from just a surface level viewpoint and lens, it makes sense. I can see why those three are positive EV.
Yeah, I mean, I like all three. Yeah, I agree with you from a basketball perspective. Tatum is outside of market width, being at 43 cents, so that one I'll avoid. Let's look into the Jimmy Buckets one. It's within range, 31 cents in market width, but I like to compare it across all the other books to see if the FanDuel line is a true discrepancy or not. Mm-hmm. So the OddsJam line has it at -121. FanDuel has it at +104. It looks like the other books kind of meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. DraftKings at -110, obviously closer to the OddsJam line. Caesars and MGM at -105, closer to the OddsJam line. And it looks like the other two books, BetRivers and PointsBet, actually priced this a point higher than 36.5. So from a math perspective, this one is probably a no touch for me, just from looking at all the books. And I mean, Jimmy Buckets, that guy's been on fire the past couple games to give him that.
So again, it's when you go through it like that, makes sense. And again, we really did have to look more at the numbers, look more at what other books are offering, things like that. You mentioned the market width, which I know has been a hot topic of just fully understanding what that means. So if you want to give a quick overview, I think that would probably be good too.
Yeah, sure. Market width is essentially, so the OddsJam line is pulled from the most accurate bookmaker in the world. Market width is essentially a way to signify confidence in what they're pricing lines at. Basically, the logic is the smaller the number, the more confident they are in the lines, because the more money that they receive on these bets, the tighter our market is going to be, the smaller the market width is going to be. For a player prop, anything below 40 cents is going to be something within range worth betting. The way you calculate it, for a plus and a minus, like we see here with this Tatum one, you just subtract the two numbers. So 165 minus 122 equals 33. So this one would be 33 cents in market width. For two minuses, you just 43. Add. Sorry, say that again.
43.
No, for two minus. Oh, sorry, 43. Yeah, sorry, math is hard. 43. That's why I avoided that one. Sorry. 43. Yeah, you're right. 43. For two minuses, you just add them together. So 21 plus 10 equals 31. So this one is Jimmy Buckets one, even though we're ending up avoiding it by looking into the market, is 31. And Al Horford over 8.5 is also 31. So let's look at the Al Horford one. Because I mean, talk about a guy we can give Al Horford his props for a little bit. Dude has just been balling.
Yeah,
absolutely balling.
Yeah, as you're looking that up and looking up some things, I don't know what came over him these last few games here playing against Milwaukee, but fountain of youth. I don't know if he was some food in Milwaukee, whatever their specialty is out there.
What is their specialty in Milwaukee? Yeah, cheese curds.
Yeah, cheese curds, I guess, right? But I don't know. Maybe he ate a lot of cheese curds the night before these games because he's just been going bananas.
Insane. I mean, that one was a game 6 when he had 16 points in the fourth quarter or something.
Yep, that was game 6.
Dude,
and he dunked on Giannis's head.
Yeah, and then he stared him down. Yeah. Anyways, from a math perspective, this one is exactly what you're looking for. So I'm going to lock this in before the odds change on me. There you go. Al Horford over 8.5 rebounds. So the OddsJam perfect line, like we said, prices it at -127. Every other book. This is, again, what's legal to us in Virginia. Prices this in the -120s. So getting it at -104 on FanDuel, I mean, I know what this means as a sports bettor, but for the watcher out there, the huge discrepancy amongst FanDuel and all the other books.
Absolutely. Those 20 points right there from the mid 120s to -104 is astronomical. That's where you get the value. That's what OddsJam helps you find with just a click of a button.
Exactly. So that's why I avoided the Jimmy Butler one and took this one, is because of like comparing it to the other sports books. So let me lock this in. $75 on this one. I put adding it to my bet tracker. So all right, so we got our predictions out for game one. I think we can end this with just series predictions. I'll start. As much as I want the Heat to win, I'm a Jimmy Buckets guy. I cannot stand Boston sports, so I'm rooting for the Heat. But I just think that they can become too offensively challenged. And as good as Jimmy is, he doesn't want to shoot. So there's really nobody on the Heat who you can say can like do all three things in terms of shoot, drive, and pass. You know what I mean? And like, this is a dumb way of looking at it, but that's kind of what I come back to in like a really intense playoff game is like, can you have someone that can do all three, score at all three levels? Mm-hmm. Jimmy doesn't really like to shoot. The Celtics have Tatum and Brown to a lesser extent. Obviously, I mean, I think the Heat have the best player in the series, but I think the Celtics are a better team. So I will take the Celtics in 6.
Oof. Okay. I will. Okay. So for my reasoning, I'm going to start there. I think this whole series is going to be dependent on Jason Tatum's offensive performance.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
So, they would have lost the last round had Al Horford not found the fountain of youth.
100%.
There's 100%. No chance they would have won that series because Tatum was not playing the way they needed him to. I think he put up 30 or close to it in game.
He was really hit or miss. He was really hit or miss.
It was a very quiet 30, I guess. It was not the shots at the big moments that when they needed it type of thing throughout the series, I think. And so I would assume that his primary defender will be Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler is a great one-on-one defender. I think it really depends. If Tatum can get his and score at all three levels, like you said, and score in the way that he should be scoring for that team, yeah, I think it'll be Celtics in 6. But I think I'm going to lean Miami in 7 because I think at the end of the day, we started this pod talking about defense. So I'm gonna end it with that as well. I think that Jimmy Butler is gonna be able to, whatever Milwaukee did with Jason Tatum to make him so inconsistent, I think Miami's gonna try to use similar kind of tactics there. And I think that Jimmy Butler is gonna be the primary on-ball defender for Jason Tatum, and I do think that he's a better defender. And for whatever reason, I'm still just leaning Miami. They're the number one team in the East. I got to give them their due. So.
Yeah, fair. I mean, for those of you who agree with Puneet, get some pretty good value if you take the Heat Eastern Conference winner plus 150. Essentially, will they win the series or not?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that'll about wrap it up. So game one predictions, series predictions, all that good stuff. If you like the video, hit us a like, comment, let us know your feedback. Let us know what you're fading, what you're tailing. If you think we're idiots, that's fine. We'll take that as well. Other than that, would appreciate, as my dog comes up to say hello, if you could subscribe to the OddsJam YouTube channel, hit that plus button. Tons of helpful content out there for all you sports bettors. But other than that, thanks for watching and have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, y'all.